The movie begins with Marion Venner, the CEO of Wifelike, a technology company that specializes in creating companions for people. He is on television advertising the services of their products and how much comfort his creation can bring to their owners. It turns out that these specially programmed women are AI robots with the memories of people uploaded on them. A man called William is next seen visiting Wifelike, where he is commended by Marion for his role in the company. William is an agent of this tech company and has come to get his robot. He goes to the room where a lady, Meredith, has been prepped for him to take home. William lost his wife a while ago, and Wifelike has been able to give him a second shot at a good home with Meredith. He has a brief memory flashback to the day he first met Meredith. She had come to see him as part of her advocacy to end Wifelike, something that she had always disagreed with. However, life can be pretty funny, because the same company now has just given her another opportunity in life. William takes her home and pretty much shows her how to become his wife, and she remembers being his wife. They eventually spend some time together holding hands. After holding hands, William wants her to spend the whole night with him in bed, but she reminds him that she needs to charge her battery for the night. As she goes to her room to charge overnight, she spots a mysterious man in a mask watching her from a tree close by. However, before she makes out who it is, he quickly leaves. She also finds a couple of diaries belonging to the original Meredith and briefly looks through them before going to charge herself. The next day, as she makes breakfast for William, she watches some citizens criticizing Wifelike and later learns that some of the companions have gone missing. It is obvious that they have been abducted by members of SCARE, the group protesting. William works for a unit at Wifelike that recovers stolen companions, so the news of these missing companions means he must find them. When he leaves for work, Meredith tries out some dresses of the real Meredith and some makeup. However, makeup is not as easy for a robot, so she messes up the lipstick. At work, William is tasked with finding the two missing companions. As he sets out to find them, he fortunately comes across one of them, Wendy, who had escaped. She has an electrical band around her neck programmed to electrocute her at a certain distance from the facility where they were kept. Fortunately, William finds her in time and deactivates the band before further damage is done to her. Wendy informs him about two others in the facility, so he goes to rescue them. He finds them, but just before he rescues them, he is met by a man who holds the second companion at gunpoint. However, William shoots him and rescues the second companion. At home, Meredith goes to charge her battery and slips into dream mode. Here, she meets her interactive dream operator, IDO. After she agrees to dream, she is taken to a scene of her birthday. She meets William here, but also meets a masked man who hands her a card with a bird that looks like a character from Angry Birds. After this, she returns to IDO and asks about the masked man, but he tells her that there are no records of the masked man. When he asks if he needs to report it, Meredith declines. However, she asks for her knitting mode to be activated, and IDO obliges her. With this new skill set, she knits a pillow with the picture of the bird on the card that the masked man gave her. Later that day, she decides to try out cycling. However, a strange lady startles her, causing her to fall off the bicycle. The lady asks her to remember who she is as they are running out of time. Puzzled, Meredith tells William about this, but he brushes it away and tells her that lots of women hate companions because they take their husbands from them. Meredith then presents her knitted gift to William afterward. However, he doesn't appear too excited. He tells her that Meredith never knew how to knit. Later that night, Meredith meets IDO as she prepares to dream, but some of her dreams are locked. IDO decides to give her a random dream where she meets William. However, the masked man appears to her instead of William. Meredith is alarmed and asks why he is stalking her. She tells him that she doesn't remember him, and so he grabs her as though shaking her would jolt her memory. At the same time, William wakes her up. She asks him about the masked man, but he tells her not to bother about him as she just had a bad dream. Meredith begins to study her former diary entries as she is now interested in knowing why the masked man is after her. This is especially after he tells her that he knows everything about her, including the things that she had forgotten. One day, William is called to retrieve a missing companion, Lisa. He tracks her down to an apartment where she works and goes in to get her. However, she has now changed her appearance and name and refuses to come back with William. Furthermore, she tells him that she does not like her current owner. William instructs her to return, but she tells him that she ran away of her own volition and will never love her owner, no matter how many times she is reprogrammed. Ouch. Talk about being friend-zoned. William is unmoved, and so Lisa is forced to leave. However, she runs off and decides to end her life by jumping off a height. Back at home, the mysterious lady who later introduces herself as Louise visits Meredith. She informs her that the masked guy will like to meet her in person, but Meredith is not in the mood to meet him. She orders her to leave and also threatens to report their meeting to William. William, on the other hand, takes the lifeless body of Lisa back to Wifelike and discovers that the company is now interested in a new project, Childlike, an AI program that creates children. William expresses his concerns over this new project. His encounter with Lisa has taught him to believe that some of the companions can be reprogrammed to possibly hurt their owners or take their lives, and so he fears this might not be a good idea for kids. However, the company's CEO is adamant about his fears. Afterward, Meredith knits another angry-faced bird pillow for her William, but he doesn't quite appreciate this as seen from his face. She informs him about the meeting with Louise, so he calls his partner, Jack, to the house. When Jack arrives, they set up a plan to put Meredith to sleep so they can track down the address of the masked man, Keen. They put her to sleep, and IDO takes her to a dream location with Keen. While she dreams, Jack and William monitor her dream. In the dream, Keen finally takes off his mask and reveals that they both had their memories wiped out. He then gives her an address to meet him as soon as she wakes up. When she wakes up, she finds William and Jack preparing to visit the location that Keen gave her. Meredith is a bit confused. She tells William that she remembers the face of Keen, but William tells her to stay back home, as he leaves with his partner for Keen's address. Upon arrival, they discover a trap there and that he is nowhere to be found. William hurries back home and finds Meredith. She tells him about a book that Keen dropped at their doorstep without harming her. She is convinced that he might not be a terrible person. However, William tells her that Keen has used her for a number of evil activities, including bombing and more. William decides to follow Meredith to Dreamland to track down Keen since he has been difficult to catch. Jack warns him about the dangers of this, as he could end up with permanent head damage if something goes wrong. William agrees to take the risk and goes ahead to enter into Meredith's dream. He finally meets Keen in her dream, and after telling Meredith to run away, he begins to fight Keen. Unfortunately, Meredith gets missing in the woods and asks IDO for some help. IDO transfers everyone in the woods to a new scene. Here, William tells everyone to leave as he prepares to continue his fight. Keen tells him that Meredith will eventually remember everything. But William tells him that he is prepared to continue to wipe her memory. Meredith, who is hiding at a distance away, watches the two men fight and overhears William. Soon, William begins to choke his opponent, but Meredith's battery runs down, so she is forced to leave her dream mode, waking William also. Jack is unhappy with William for confronting Keen in Meredith's dream. He warns him about the illegality of taking Keen's life, but William stubbornly insists that he will do everything he can to put Keen away. When William gets home, Meredith tells him that she doesn't want her memory erased anymore, but he convinces her that it is for her own good. Then he makes arrangements for her to be taken to the facility for her memory wipe. At the facility, she meets with other companions who are interested in bringing down Wifelike. Meredith is confused about how they are able to remember their past lives, but they tell her how to hide her memories in random files of her dream mode. Meanwhile, Louise gives Jack's female friend a file for Jack, and she gives it to him when he gets home. When Jack arrives, he watches the files and is appalled by the content of it. He goes to see William and confronts him over the content of the file. It turns out that the file contains the truth about Keen. William had taken Keen's life, and this is why they were unable to find him when they went to look for him, as he only existed in Meredith's memory. This is why William had been desperate to wipe her memory. Jack decides to arrest William for his crime. However, William defends himself by stating that he always loved Meredith and knew that she was supposed to be his. Jack pulls out his gun but isn't fast enough as William shoots him quickly. Meredith walks in shortly afterward and confronts William over the death of his colleague, Jack and Keene. It turns out that Meredith now has access to all of her memories. She was not always a companion, but a member of Scare. One day she had gone to William's house to ask him to sign a petition against Wifelike, and he became instantly smitten with her. Although she had a boyfriend, Keene, William grew obsessed with her and began to follow her around. One day he arrested her and Keene, and after trumped-up charges, William shot Keene before taking Meredith's life, putting a ring on her finger, and taking her to the facility as his wife to become his companion. Fortunately, her memories were hidden in her random memory and not completely wiped off. IDEO had also given her access to these files. With her memories back, she confronts Williams over his evil deeds. She then increases her physical strength and fights William, killing him in the process. With William out of the way, it is revealed that Meredith is the leader of Scare, and as the movie ends, she is seen rallying her fellow members against Wifelike. William is made into an AI and is now set on the task of tracking down Scare's leader, just as Meredith is bent on ending the evil corporation. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, let us know in the comments section which movie you want us to recap for you. Also, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss our next video.